All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to SIG Scheduling meeting. Today, I have a few updates for you, and then I would like to hear any updates from you guys as well. To start, I actually wanted to give you an update about the scheduling framework that I've been working on and off at some points. So you know that the proposal is out. And I actually, by the way, I received quite a few requests to see the Google Docs. One more time to say that the Google Docs is shared with Kubernetes-dev Google groups. So if you are in that group, you should be able to access it. We don't grant individual access to the document. But even that is not required because the same document is basically converted to a PR and is available in our community docs. So if you go to Kubernetes community, there is a PR that has this scheduling framework proposal in it. That said, thinking more about the scheduling framework and all the future steps to make it like the default scheduler, like letting it soak for a long time probably, and then backward compatibility issues, testing, and of course the development of it itself. I was thinking that instead of going through all that steps, which is probably going to take a very long time, we can alternatively bring some of the good ideas of the scheduling framework into our current scheduler. An example is creating more like plugin points in our current scheduler. In a way, our scheduler today is more or less like a framework, although it's not built like a framework in a sense, but our predicate and priority functions are meant to be like in process plugins. We can maybe refine that interface a bit, but we also can add more plugin points to it. In particular, what we need today, and that's actually something that is kind of high priority given that we need to do like binding of cluster resources like volume scheduling and also TPU, GPU binding, network TPU, GPU binding. We think that we need like pre-bind plugin point so that some of these logics can be moved to that plugin point. Anyway, the general idea is that we should probably start thinking about how to bring some of those ideas into the scheduling framework instead of building something from scratch. That hopefully will reduce the amount of time to test and also will remove some of the pain of rolling it out in the future. So that's one thing that I wanted to share. Do you have any questions about this?
I have one. So say if we are adding new extension points or to the existing scheduler code, how do we want to test them? Like, are they going to be feature gated or something to ensure that the existing functionality is not broken? Or like people may find this new changes to be surprising. So how can we make sure that the impact is minimal?
Sure, that's a good point. So, we already have some logic. For example, in this particular like pre-bind extension point that I was talking about, we already have some logic which is currently built inside the scheduler. In particular, volume binding, persistent volume binding, is now inside the scheduler code. That's something that we, from the very beginning, we knew that it's not a great pattern and we wanted to avoid it, but we didn't have any other option. In fact, one of the most important reasons that I thought about creating a framework and not going with the current design was exactly because of this particular logic that was brought into the scheduler. So if we create another plugin point, by default, we are well, not by default, I should say, that one of the first candidates to be moved to that like a plugin for this extension point is going to be the persistent volume binding. So given that we have already tests for that, we can of course ensure that the existing tests will not break by making this change. We can test it that way at least. And then we have other logic, like, for example, GPU, TPU binding. We can probably create another plugin for that and then test it with the existing tests as well. These will verify that the existing logic is not broken.
Yeah, so the other question that I have is, thank you, that answers my question. So the other question that I have is, for the new plugins, in the new framework, we were thinking of having two different types of extensions. One is having it compiled, and then the other is going to be an extender mechanism, similar to HTTP or JSON, which we haven't decided yet. But most of the changes we are going to make, they would be in place plugin additions. Like at the compile time, we need to make those changes. So is that going to be useful going forward? Like, how can we ensure that extension will be easier?
Right. So of course, this is not going to, in-process plugins are not going to work for everybody. Not everybody wants to compile or recompile their scheduler. However, I think most people also do not need to add any extension points. Probably, the users which are who are not tech savvy, or that tech savvy is not the right word. Probably people who are not like scheduler experts probably do not want to really change anything in the scheduler. I would expect some of these folks who really want to create custom scheduler are okay with recompiling the code. But one thing that we need to do is that, today our scheduler, I cannot call it monolithic, because we have these like concepts of having priority and predicate functions which are not inside the guts of the scheduler. But there are still kind of integrated inside the scheduler. And there are features, I can name priority and preemption, particularly preemption, that is like inside the guts of the scheduler. So you cannot easily change it or remove it. Or if there are changes to the scheduler and you make some other customization, then keeping up with the basically master branch of Kubernetes could be challenging for users. But if we create a complete separation so that these in-process plugins only interact with the scheduler via a well-defined interface, which we are going to provide backward compatibility, then things become easier. So like creating an API inside the scheduler that are going to be backward compatible will make actually maintenance of the custom schedulers easier for our users. And of course, we are going to keep supporting the external plugins as well, but those are usually not as fast, so they may not be great for all use cases.
So I'm sorry if I get it wrong. So the extender extension points are still going to be the same, or we are going to define set of interfaces based on different extension points and let these plugin either in process or external ones be conforming to those interfaces? So
now the external ones, we're talking about our current scheduler, right?
Right.
Right. So in the current scheduler, the external ones we're not going to change immediately. At least we don't have any particular plan. And in fact, even in my scheduler framework design, I didn't have any particular design for external plugins, because there are things to figure out. One is basically whether performance of these external plugins is important or not. Of course, performance can be always important, but if we have all the other alternatives like building in-process plugins, whether performance of those should be as critical as not having any other option, basically. If we didn't have any other option for extending the scheduler, then we definitely had to think about performance of external ones more carefully. But now, maybe the performance of those are not as important in case of, for example, GPU and TPU, network GPU binding. Performance is not that important. We've seen that binding network sources sometimes can take like in the order of minutes. So being a fraction of a second faster or slower doesn't matter at all to these plugins. Some of these use cases may exist for other people as well, and those guys may not care as much about performance. Other people who care about performance may want to go and build the in-process plugins. Anyway, going back to your point, I don't feel the necessary need for changing the current extension mechanism unless people tell me that they have use cases for it. But I haven't heard that many. And in fact, I don't think there are that many users who are using these extensions.
So, I mean, one thing that I could talk is from the perspective of device plugins, where they want to have accounting and core scheduler for the different types of device plugins. So that is something that I would personally not prefer, because scheduler core is going to increase and it becomes difficult. So if you have the extender mechanism for those kind of resources, it would be helpful. But I don't know if the current extension points for extender are good enough for that.
Right. So I agree with you. For those cases, don't you think that the in-process plugins will work fine?
The in-process would work fine, but we should be careful of, like, we should not allow too many things to be in the core scheduler, right? I mean, if the device plugin listing itself is taking some time, say if there are like five device plugins, and then again accounting them, like how much of them have been used, how much of them are not being used. If it takes like quite a bit of time, they should be in the external plugin, not in process plugin, because not many people may care about those things.
In terms of basically, is your concern about code maintenance, or is it like performance of the schedule?
So I think my concern is more on the lines of code maintenance.
Okay. So in terms of code maintenance, I don't expect the in-process plugins be any different. So in-process plugins are not expected to just do anything they like, and you're not expected to be integrated inside the core of the scheduler. So as I said, the in-process plugins must communicate with the core only via a well-defined interface. And that well-defined interface is going to be maintained and will be backward compatible. But otherwise, we don't provide anything to these any other interface to these in-process plugins. And that way, I'm hoping that maintenance concerns will go away.
But who is going to maintain that? Is it something like SIG scheduling is going to own that, or the individual plugin,
or the interface?
The in-process plugins. Say if I have written.
No, we don't. We don't need to really maintain it. I mean, it's something to be agreed on, and with collaboration with other SIGs. But we don't need to maintain that. Maintain other plugins ourselves. That's the whole point of having plugins. Otherwise, we could just build everything inside the code, right?
Yeah, that's where my concern is mostly.
Yeah, no, we don't provide maintenance for plugins of the scheduler.
Okay, yeah, then it's clear. So you're going to modify the proposal, the existing proposal, or you're going to open the new?
I'm still thinking about it. Yeah, so I actually wanted to also hear your thoughts and maybe the community thoughts, and then I will probably go and change the proposal to say what I think about
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, this is better than creating or rewriting the existing one. That makes sense. So probably you can send it to SIG scheduling or Kubernetes dev list and get some feedback.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ravi. Any other questions about the framework before we go to another topic? All right. So another update I have about like tainting node by condition and also taint-based eviction. So I would like to introduce Wei Huang to you guys. Is present today in our meeting. Hi, Wei. So Wei is, correct me if I'm wrong, Wei is has joined IBM and is working on some of our items in the SIG scheduling. He has accepted to work on moving tainting node by condition to beta in 1.12. He's working on that. He's also going to work on moving daemon set scheduling by default scheduler to to beta in 1.12 as well. Thank you, Wei.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Wei, and I'm new to the scheduling SIG. So actually, I worked for IBM for a long time, for 9 years.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I worked for IBM for 9 years, and recently I changed to another department, which is focused on open source development. So they put me in the scheduling. So yeah, this is my second week in this new team. So I like to start with some bug fixes and some like those two features Bobby mentioned to promote the alpha feature to beta feature to get familiar with the code and also do the contribution to the community. So before joining this team, I also working on some project related with Kubernetes in the past 2 years. So that is based more stuff on top of Kubernetes. So I basically use, in the beginning use CRD and use TPR and then use CRD to extend the Kubernetes behavior and to meet some business requirements. So yeah, that is basic
Okay.
for me. Yeah,
thank you very much, Ray, and welcome to Kubernetes world.
Yeah.
All right. One thing else that I wanted to mention about gang scheduling. Klaus is not here today. I've reviewed gang scheduling proposal, and I'm not so sure about the way that we are approaching the problem. Klaus has some ideas. I feel like we need to make some changes, at least to the API, and there are other small things that we need to figure out. Anyway, I'm going to work with Klaus to see how we can improve the current proposal and if he agrees with my line of thoughts or not.
I took a look at the proposal of the gang scheduling. It seems current design is using CRD, so that is kind of a good fit for my knowledge, for my background.
Yes. Yeah, that is true. I don't object using CRDs. I think that's a good thing to do, actually. But I'm not so sure about the object that he has proposed and also the approach that he has chosen. So I'm gonna comment more on that proposal. But the proposal is out. I would like to invite the community to go and read that proposal and comment on it if you're interested in gang scheduling. There is a PR on GitHub. So, okay, let's see. Oh, the image locality priority function is merged. We need to improve testing for that. I'm gonna follow up on that myself. And that's pretty much it. I would like to hear about the progress of Huawei folks on the Poseidon project or the Firmament scheduler. We haven't heard any updates in a while. If you guys see this video later, please tell us how you guys are doing. And then there is also promotion of the scheduler to a standard component. I don't know if you're Ravi or let's see, Avesh is not here, I believe. Ravi or Avesh, if any of you guys have any update, please let us know. Otherwise, we can move on.
So there is no update since last Thursday. The PR is still in progress. We would let you know like as soon as possible once the PR merges so that it's in sync with rescheduler code.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
There is also another effort going on, and that's with respect to scheduling policies. So we are working closely with the folks in the policy team, and hopefully we are gonna. Well, actually, Yasin, I guess, told me that he's gonna update the proposal soon. So we are gonna see an update on that proposal as well. If you're interested, please go ahead and comment. There is a PR as well. You can find all these PRs and the links to them in our spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is available in our Google Docs, and I mean the link to the spreadsheet that we are following the work is available to on the Google Docs, and the Google Docs is linked to our meeting invite. So these are, I guess, all the things that I wanted to say. If you have any, I have one more question from some of you folks that who are present in this meeting. But if you have any other questions about the scheduler, please go ahead and ask now.
Well, unrelated to what we have discussed till now, one thing I would like to know is there are lots of new people who are interested in contributing. Like I've been seeing quite a lot of pings and offline and in the Slack channel as well. So I'd like to get started on creating a new contributor document, but for that I need some help from you, Bobby, and then I take some help from others as well. So I think Jonathan has started this proposal wherein he was asking everyone to create good first issues from the issues that they have created. And like I have done, but I did not see much from other folks. So I think I can use this as a reminder. So if anyone has created issues in the past, or if they're creating now, if you think that it's a good contributor, first contributor issue, please label them appropriately so that people can get started on it.
Yeah,
especially the testing.
One thing to do, and it's a good thing to do, is to actually label these issues with help needed or help wanted, something like that. I guess there is a label for this. And that way we can easily find these issues. Usually they should be simpler issues. We don't want to create major issues as like help wanted, because then our people who are new to the scheduler probably will not be able to help much. We want the barrier to entry to be kind of low.
True, and especially the unit tests and the tests that we are doing may be a good starting point.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, if you find anything related to code coverage, or if you think this is an issue, please, please create an issue, and then we can tag them or label them properly.
Yeah, sounds good. I totally agree. Okay, anything else? And one thing that I wanted to ask you guys is that how do you feel about having this kind of like weekly and 2 different time meetings? We have tried it for a while now, and we kind of like started it as a trial, and we wanted to see if it works for folks or not. I don't know how many are okay with this. If you dislike it, let me know either now or later. If you don't want to say it publicly, let me know, and we will try to maybe change things if there is any.
Yeah, I think Avesh has a few concerns, and I could speak for him and for myself as well. So if it's a bit late in the evening on the EST, like in the EST time zone, it would be easier. Like as of now, it's 8 in the evening. So if you could move it to 10 or.
Oh, I see. Later, I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, the challenge is that then it becomes like 7 p.m. in California, which is like usually the time that people will not be available. Some are commuting back home, and you know, it becomes a little challenging. But I hear what you're saying. How about, was it working better in the past that we had like bi-weekly 1-hour meeting at noon PDT or PSD?
It was good, but I think most of the folks from China were having issues.
Yeah. I think people were not available to attend from China. That was the biggest challenge.
Yeah. I don't know, like even in China, I think it's going to be 7 or 8 in the morning.
Yeah, I think it's 8 in the morning. Yeah, it's a little early. I agree. We can make it like 8 p.m. California, but it becomes like 11 p.m. East Coast. So is it okay for you folks, or is it too late then?
I think it should be okay, but I'll confirm with Avesh since he's not here. But for me, it's okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we can probably think about that. So any other concerns about the meeting itself? Any other comments about scheduling? All right. No, nothing. So, okay. then we can finish the meeting. You'll get 2 minutes back. Thank you very much and see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.